Hi, I'm Gigi. I was the project manager for the Hilton project. I oversaw the project execution from beginning to end, and I was also the main point of contact with Hilton, with Jill and Nicole, who are on the call today with us.
Hey everyone, I'm Winnie, and I was a user experience designer, so anything from research, design, the iteration, as well as the testing, I led those portions.
And I'm Leanne. I was the strategy lead, and really it was the point of service for the market research and the strategic planning and execution on the project. So, the initial challenge that was presented to us by the Hilton team revolved around having a solution to integrate ASL, or American Sign Language, solution to their mobile and web channels. And the objective was very clear. They wanted minimal technical changes, but at the same time, it had to provide business rationale and justification for the investment to happen. From there, our product molecule was very clear. Our users are the deaf and hard of hearing individuals who need more accessible communication channels. The problem is that they face challenges in accessing seamless and direct communications. What can be the solution is to implement enhanced digital communication tools, whether it was by integrating ASL solution or by integrating any other features on their app and web channels. This is the framework that we learned in class, and while we recognize the importance of this frame, we paused for a moment and realized none of us are deaf. So we can't start by understanding the problem space, we need to empathize with our users. So we decided to use this framework instead. We empathized, then we defined, we ideated, we prototyped, and we tested. We started by understanding the needs of the deaf and hard of hearing community. We clearly defined the challenges and the requirements, and then we went into generating a range of ideas on how we can address this problem and the challenges. We developed the prototype, and then we tested the prototype with our users. I'm not going to spend much time on this slide, but the main thing to point here is that we had daily rounds of iteration throughout all phases. Our project was not a linear approach. So we sat with the Hilton team, we took their feedback, and we went and iterated. We sat with our users, we took their feedback, and we went and we did adjustments. We sat together within the team, and we went over and we did more adjustments. Now with the first phase, empathize, we needed to understand our users in numbers. Within 333 million citizens in the United States, we have 11 million who are deaf or have serious difficulties of hearing. 500,000 of those people within the US and Canada only speaks American Sign Language. So we needed to understand more. We did 6 user interviews with deaf people. And at the same time, we went and did a competitive analysis. We needed to understand what are the best practices out there in the market. Who are the top companies that are advocating in accessibility, and what articles or forums that address the best practices in web accessibility design for the deaf. People pointed that it was really awkward for them to do in-person customer service interactions. They didn't really like that. And they preferred contactless experiences. They preferred having several contact options that they didn't actually have. But when it comes to web design, how can we, in the best way, address these pain points and needs and wants? By having many and multiple communication options. The key takeaway from what we understood from this phase is something very interesting. We didn't know it back then, and we'd love to share it because I know that's going to be a first to you guys as well. Not every deaf person actually speaks American Sign Language, or sign language in particular. And not every deaf person can read or write in English. Their proficiency varies as much as our proficiency varies in it as well. So there is no one-size-fits-all solution for this project, not at all.
Yeah, so one of the key frameworks we used here was the user persona. So where do all those insights lead into? We want you to meet Kevin. He's a 29-year-old living in New York City who is profoundly deaf, communicates primarily using ASL, and he travels frequently for both work and leisure, and likes to explore cities either solo or with friends, and usually he communicates through visual cues and text communication. When it comes to his pain points, it's really those awkward human interactions, whether it's like the check-in or the booking process, and also that information delay because sometimes he just doesn't understand English. There's a lack of knowledge of the accessibility options that are actually available. So what can you request from the hotel, and then who can you talked to in the booking process as well. So it's really those misunderstandings as well as feelings of uncertainty and even fear and lack of resources specifically for emergency situations. So those are kind of his pain points. But what does he need and want? From a functional standpoint, he really wants something that's like a language selection feature within his booking process. You know, having the option to communicate in ASL, his native language, through either contactless or even live video communication. That's something that he would really benefit from. And also feeling that reliability when it comes to, you know, emergency situations or whenever he has a question that comes up, like having a reliable source of information is what he looks for. And in terms of emotional needs, it's really being able to act independently when he's going on a trip, whether it's the booking or actually checking in and all those steps, and also feeling seen by the brands that he trusts. It's feeling safe and respected without his needs being overlooked. Another framework we leveraged was also the user journey. So anything from discovering and when a person starts to look for where they want to stay, all the way until confirming the trip as well as a check-in and stay. We broke down each of the phases into the feelings and thoughts of the actual users. So, you know, highlighting when they are confused and frustrated, when they're not surprised and unimpressed, having those type of elements come out from our interviews into our user journey. And then we even highlighted certain thoughts like, oh, there's an accessible room filter, but it didn't help me at all. So really pinpointing where our current offering isn't really delivering on this particular user group. And that led us to our problem statement, and that is, in the US, 11 million deaf or hard of hearing individuals face significant challenges in accessing suitable communication options on digital platforms. This impacts their decision to book with and stay at Hilton, thus affecting the brand's ability to drive consumer consideration, satisfaction, and loyalty. So really in this stage, we use journey mapping and how we might, and as a user statements to bolster this. That led us into our ideation phase. So along the entire user journey, we essentially came up with every possible idea from, you know, using third-party vendors to internally implemented solutions, ones that included a lot of technology, ones that didn't include as much development. So really just sticking up all those ideas. And at this stage is where we really communicated with our key stakeholders. So the Hilton team, as well as, you know, our actual deaf users that we interviewed with, just to understand whether these actually resonate with them and whether this also meets business needs. And that led us to our prototype. We decided to start with the mobile app, and we decided to implement quite a few different tactics and features to be able to bring those insights into action. The first one was an ASL translation for all static help pages. So all that essential information that is in English, we would like that translated directly in ASL in a video format so that it's received in a way that they're able to communicate. Secondly, it's filtering based on hearing and mobility accessible rooms. So there was an insight around how, although you can filter for accessible rooms, oftentimes it's not, you know, direct to their disability. And so here we're able to really target that pain point. Third, it's the iconography and accessibility policies. So having proper iconography across the entire mobile app to not only educate the consumer on what's available at the hotel, but also really highlight specific offerings at the hotel level is something that was really needed. Next, we had implemented a feature on special requests and ability to request things like an ADA kit in advance. So having this ability just gives that peace of mind that we were kind of tackling earlier on in these interviews. You know, being able to request exactly what they need in their room prior to their visit is something that we would like to implement. And lastly, it's the ASL real-time customer service support. So if they have a question, they don't necessarily need to text it, they don't need to call in, because that just doesn't work for them. But having specific ASL speaking agents that can tend to their need on the app, just like every other language, is something that we would also like to implement. And at this phase, you know, we went through the low fidelity as well as the high fidelity process. So when it came to paper sketches, we started with that, and then it developed into this, which we built on Figma.
Thank you, Winnie. Okay, so now we had our prototypes that we were presenting to Hilton and to our clients. We had to test now what these prototypes were, the solutions we were offering, making sure that they were actually answering the problem, solving a problem that both for consumers but also for our client, for Hilton. And so that's exactly what we did in the testing phase. We had some great feedback from the consumers. In addition to the 6 deaf people that we interviewed in the research phase, we also talked to 2 additional people in the testing of the prototypes phase. We had really great feedback in terms of the sort of what icons can or should be used, what would be offensive, what would not be offensive, so that was really valuable feedback there. We also had really great positive feedback about some of the features that we suggested, such as the filters, the special requests, and the different communication options for users. But with any successful project, you always encounter a last-minute pivot, and so we had that as well. And as we talked with Hilton, we realized that the constraints were harder than we initially thought. And so we had to make sure that not only were we suggesting great prototype solutions for the app and websites, but that would be a much longer solution, that we also had to provide a solution for the short term, something that they could implement today that required no development work from their engineering teams. And so that is what we did, and this is our final recommendation for Hilton. We split it into 3 different stages: a short-term, medium-term, and long-term solution. The short-term involves no development work at all, and basically the 2 things that we want to highlight here are a strategic partnership with people who are deaf, influencers, people who are leaders in their field who are deaf themselves, who identify as profoundly deaf, and who would be a great asset or partnership and would help Hilton in that sense. The other thing that we want to suggest in the short-term solution is a sort of a partnership with the ASL Now app. This is an app that deaf people already use to communicate with the customer services of several companies. So Hilton can embed themselves and partner with the ASL Now app to put Hilton inside the app for people to directly call using ASL to the customer service at Hilton. So this is the first term, the short term. The medium-term solution, quick win development sort of thing, would involve implementing the ASL Now widget. So same company, but they also have a widget that goes into the website and app that users could click on that button and then be directed again to a customer service agent in ASL. And then the second point here is sort of change briefly the contact us page or text to include an ASL option for people to call via video phone, which I won't go into detail here, but it's a phone that people who are deaf use, and you call, and they call the traditional number that we all call, but they are directed automatically to a video phone instead of a phone call. And then the last solution, we still think that there is a lot of valuable work in the work that we provided, and that all these prototypes and ideas and features that we are suggesting would be extremely valuable for Hilton, but this is more of a longer-term solution. And this is all that we just talked about. So we believe that within the first year, Hilton could implement the ASL Now and the marketing partnerships, and then the rest of the solutions could come in a timeline of 2 to 5 years. So to briefly talk about the business side of things, I'm not going to go into the detail of the top part of the business model canvas because we've just talked already about the key partners, value proposition, customer segments, and so on. But I do want to talk about the cost structure and the revenue stream. With the solutions that we are suggesting, there will be some development costs involved with this, especially in the longer term. So it will involve engineering teams working on making some changes on the app and the website. There will also be, actually in the shorter term, more operational costs. It would involve Hilton hiring people who are ASL fluent to be a customer agent and respond to calls in ASL. And it would of course involve as well some marketing and outreach expenses as well. But we believe that all of this will bring or open up Hilton to 11 million users who are more likely to stay with Hilton, and of course more bookings. So to conclude, we believe that Hilton is already in the path to becoming the preferred choice for hospitality among the accessibility community and people with disabilities. We believe that the solutions that we are offering will only further Hilton into that effort and will make the experience of deaf and hard of hearing people a much better experience in the hospitality sector. Thank you.
now your sponsor is on the Zoom, right?
They are on the call, yes.
So should we pull them up? And a great job. I'll let her speak to herself. Nicole? Yeah.
Nicole's there.
Hi, Nicole. Hey, Nicole. Would you like to ask any questions or share any thoughts with the team and the class and our whole group here?
So I'm sitting here. I lead the accessibility program at Hilton and am really driving towards a more equitable and inclusive travel experience as a whole. So just even outside of digital. And what these 3 young women did, the process that they went through is amazing. And they really listened and absorbed when we talked about some of the challenges of tech integration in a large organization such as ours, what the timelines would be, the battling with the, other initiatives that are trying to get prioritized. And I honestly believe that what they put on that last slide as short-term, near-term, and longer-term are things that we actually can bring to market and bring to life. So for me, this is very, very exciting to see the process that they went through, the intentionality in leaning into the deaf and hard of hearing community, and I'm excited. So I'm excited to take this and really run with it.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks for putting the time into this. Thank you so much. And Jill, thank you as well. We see your message there. Thank you so much. But Nicole, thank you so much for sponsoring and taking the time every week to meet with the team and giving us this valuable experience. So thank you.
It was my pleasure. They were a delight to work with.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
All right, one more round.